Hello everyone, welcome again to Horrific Reviews. Happy Saturday and all that good stuff. Here we are, cheers. Get some out into me, always good to lubricate the old pipe. God, I'll tell you what, this week I have been staring at screens. I'm starting to go square-eyed, and here I am again, another stream. Reason is, I saw Preacher this week. I've been kind of catching up in season 1. I realised there's 4 seasons of it, so I thought I may as well do each season separately rather than trying to do the whole thing, because when you get to a certain age, your memory, starts playing up on you. It's hard to pick up on things. How did I come across this? It's something that's been kind of in the ether, but I saw lots of clips of Facebook. When you go to the Facebook video stream thingy when you're scrolling through your stuff. So caught my eye. Saw it was on Amazon, thought I'd check it out. So there you have it. I thought may as well have a nosy. Not a bad show. I don't know how it's gonna last for 4 seasons. I can kind of see it wearing a bit thin after season 2. Bit of a slow burner. So basically the premise is you've got Jesse Custer. He's returned to his hometown to take over his father's church. Somebody with a bit of a sketchy past, and effectively takes over as the preacher. It just kind of happens. This is set in a kind of satirical, surreal world. So if you're expecting high-level drama, not really. It's a dark comedy / horror. It verges on uses lots of supernatural elements, lots of blood and gore and all that good stuff. So you can be forgiven for thinking it's horror. So we'll start off with Jesse. Moves back into his whole town. You've got all these characters, but there's also scenes throughout the world, as the kind of first episode goes. You've all these different churches, different denominations, and their main preachers are getting blown up, exploded. It's almost like an Evil Dead type thing. You see a thing kind of going, whoa, and then whoever's on the pulpit at the time go splat. It's not just the typical heaven and hell, because in Russia you've got like satanic temple type stuff when you see the sign on the door, and then you've got flipping Tom Cruise exploding as he's giving one of his lectures in the Scientology stuff. So not to take us too seriously. I wonder how much I had to pay Tom Cruise to reference him in his church, because you can almost bet your life they went after him. It's like, give us our monies. Don't mention our church without the old monies. So that's it. This thing's happening. Jesse's back in his hometown, and then you just start getting introduced to all these weird and wonderful characters in the town. To me, definitely, most interesting one is Odin Quincannon, Jackie Earl Haley. He's an amazing actor. You know what I mean? Anything he does, he just gives it 110%. No ifs, buts, or maybes. He just loves what he does. And this, he plays one gnarly bastard. There's no redeeming qualities about him whatsoever. He kind of runs a town. It's almost set it's set in Texas. So it's kind of got that frontier, Western, Pistols at Dawn type overshadowing. Trying to think where it goes. I'm probably alright to give spoilers, because this has been out for ages. I think it first started in 2016. Did it? Sorry, how we knows it here. No, it doesn't tell me. It'll take me too long to read it. I don't care. So, Jesse is up. He's given his first sermon, so to speak. And God, he's just making an absolute ass job of it. But like me on camera, you know what I mean? Whenever I go on camera, I'm like, he was kind of doing that in front of his church, his congregation. And next thing you know, doors blow open. The same Anthony blasts through, except this time he doesn't explode. He hits the back wall. He's like, what the hell was that? And then that's where we start realizing that something's different with him. I'm being super professional and drinking here on the job, but that's what streaming's all about. So what happens is you've all the townsfolk just instantly take him as the preacher, and they start coming to him with his problems, and he's kind of going like, "What the hell's all this lunacy?" So people are just unburdening him. I don't know what denomination is, but they're almost confessing like Catholics, the way they get on. Everyone's just unburdening him, but this one guy, he's come to him about his mother, and she wronged me again, and she's done this, and she doesn't respect me, and blah blah blah. And Jesse just goes, "Go and tell her how you feel, and open your heart." But it changes his voice. He makes it happen, and this is when we realize that there's some sort of power. Oh, right, yeah. So you definitely have to check it out. It's actually it's worth a watch. Like I said, I don't know how it's going to go. There's 4 seasons of it. I don't know how it's going to last out because already season 2. I don't know how they're going to carry on from that. Could be interesting. I've only got to season 2, episode 1, but I can see it run out of steam quite quickly unless they're really clever. But this first one, it just sets all the characters. And like I said, this guy just, he's like, "What do I do?" So he goes and tells him. This guy instantly just goes blank, under mind control. And he goes and flies out to his mother. What else? We've got the Jackie Earl Haley's character. He's basically evicting people from their property and stuff. He's got everyone dressed up in the boiler suits and the hat, and then the ground like the goon squad. It's quite funny. So you've got this, like I said, it's a whole Wild Western type thing of I run this town and I'm running everybody out because he wants to expand the meat factory. So you see that kind of happening. So it's setting up that he's the antagonist of the season. What else? We meet what's her name? Emily. She's basically Jesse's right hand man. She comes across as a whole sweet and innocent, runs a church, single mother because she's a widow, nice as pie type person. And then we find out she's shagging the mirror. So everyone has like a dark past. Who else we got? Big guy, what do you call him with the face? Donnie isn't no. Yeah, Donnie's an interesting one. Eugene, right? Eugene's one. Call him Arseface because basically his face looks like an arse because he shot himself. He's an absolute lunatic. He did something really mad and he's hated by everybody in the town. And we'll start to find out later what that is. But basically, his face is all puckered because he put a shotgun to it and obviously didn't kill himself. They repaired it and his face looks like an arse. And they actually have him with subtitles when he talks because his voice is that muffled. Quite funny. Like I said, they're just it's a whole satire. This isn't meant to be taken as is, or you're not meant to like get super emotionally invested or anything. You're just meant to look at this and go, "You bunch of lunatics." Tulip arrives in the scene. This is Jesse's girlfriend from his previous life. I'm gonna start seeing snippets of that and what kind of brought him. She wants him to leave and go away with her and do a job, and she keeps bugging him, and then she keeps reappearing throughout the season. Interesting. She was really annoying. Like first couple of episodes, I'll be honest. I just think, oh, friggin' not normal. He's friggin' Egypt's, bad girl, you're a bad boy sort of thing. But then as it goes on, we start finding out there's more to it. There really are a couple. There's mega history, and they were wronged by someone, and then that's the idea that they're going to go and get revenge. We then get Fior and the Blank. These two brilliant characters. These two just appear and they're wearing the Stetson and the belt. No, they look like cowboys, but the minute they open their mouth, they're like South London type people. So you know that there's something else going on. And what's happening is the first like 3 or 4 episodes are just setting the scene. It's a really slow burner, so if you're expecting like shock, it's not happening. Or if you're expecting the plot just to be laid out for you, it's not a complicated plot, but they take their time building it up. So these two arrive on the scene. We've also got Cassidy. He's an Irish vampire. We first see him on a Lear jet, run a casino and snorting coke and drinking with a bunch of people. And it turns out that he's a vampire and they're vampire hunters, and then they try to kill him on an airplane. So how he ends up in the town is basically he gets in a fight, kills him, and then jumps out of the plane. That's it. And then he lands in a field, eats a cow. Oh, the CGI in this is funny. I don't think it's meant to be that bad. I think it's just for the comedy aspect. But it's like, really bad. But that's how he starts ending up in the town. So what we're starting to see is all these people get placed together. Jesse runs into Cassidy. Cassidy latches on to him. It was a bar fight. That's what it was. Yeah. Jesse gets into a bar fight with the locals because who do you call him? Is it Donnie? Donnie felt threatened by him, starts to try and pick up, and this is where Jesse just basically beats the living crap out of him, breaks his arm. Just like there's gore in this. Like they don't hold back in the violence. That's what makes it interesting. Like it's such a typical TV show of everything just sugar coated, so the like when the violence happens is really gnarly. But there you go. That's how he gets involved, and then Donnie decides to take like this vendetta, and it just becomes a weird dynamic between the two of them. But essentially, you get these two, the Blank and Fior. They're good after Jesse, but Cassidy thinks they're vampire hunters after him, so he kills them. Then he buries the bodies, like just casually, just kills people while Jesse's passed out drunk, and then he buries their bodies. Just nonchalant, all about it. Wops the floor of the church and stuff. And then they reappear again. Then it discovers that they're angels, and they're after him because they're after Jesse because Jesse has the power, and they've been tracking this power, and it's been going around, and that's why we haven't found out why it chose Jesse. That's kind of left. That might be like a later season reveal, but it's a spiritual power, combination of heaven and hell. It was disowned, and they keep it in the coffee can. That's his prison, so they were keeping it basically in a coffee can. So just surreal stick. Then you've got Odin, and he's just he wants Jesse's church. Now, here's a bit that doesn't get me, or said right. Jesse's father, as we find out, was killed when he was a young boy. Jesse goes away, and then he comes back like years later. You're talking like 20 years later. So what the hell happened to the property? This guy Odin doesn't seem the type that would just sit there and let it sit. But the town's in hard times, and I think it might be related to what's going on and what caused Genesis, which is the power, to escape, and why everything's happening. It's just everything's just a complete mess. Maybe that's why Odin sets his sights on the church. He's happy to leave it there, but then when Jesse starts preaching to people and stuff, he decides he wants the church. Jesse starts playing about with the power. Oh, yeah, the guy, when he goes to his mother, the one I was talking about, offloading all his problems, he goes to his mother, he sits down, starts offloading on her, blah, blah, blah. And then he just pulls out a knife and cuts out his own heart in front of her. So we realize that this power makes people do things in the literal sense. Mind control, and the no saying what it is. Jesse doesn't find out till the report comes back, what happens, and then he realizes, something's wrong. The whole thing builds up between him and Donnie until they have a scene where basically Jesse tells him to put a gun in his mouth and then stops last minute before pulling the trigger. We'll have the whole thing happening with the town as well. Like, this town is broken. It's for the broken people, and they've all got a backstory. I don't want to give because obviously, like, Sue hasn't seen this yet. I think it's one that's passed people by. It wasn't really well advertised. I've only got into like Amazon shows really in the last year or so. It was always something I never really paid too much attention to, but And I'm started catching up myself and discovering these things. But the whole thing with Eugene and his drama and family, that all comes out as well. Jesse tries to use his power, and then he starts to realize that the more good he tries to do with it, he's actually doing harm. One of them type of stories. So he then tries to curb himself. The angels try again, and then another angel comes and tries to take those two out, because it turns out they have left heaven without permission, and they're trying to get reeled back in. And then this whole thing of, Jesse goes from going through the motions as a preacher to realizing, oh crap, this is all real, and I'm actually dealing with people's souls here, and there's a bigger battle, and it just gets all like intense and surreal. What else do I have? Like I said, I'm trying to avoid spoilers here, but trying to give you as much of the story as possible. Jesse makes a bet with Odin, because Odin wants his church, and he says he'll bring God to the town. And then that's all comes about. Are you really going to do it? You're lying, all that kind of stuff. And this, it just develops into farce. That's the only way I'm going to describe it. Just absolutely farcical and bonkers. And it turns out from it all that God has actually went missing, which is partly what prompted Genesis, this power, to escape in the first place. And heaven is an absolute chaos. As another side note, because when Jesse uses the power, he doesn't realize sometimes he sends Eugene to hell, like literally sends him to hell by telling him to go. So he realizes the power is stronger than he could ever imagine. And that's it. I don't want to, like I said, things come to a climax. That's when you find out that God has went missing, which has set up this whole chain of events, because people aren't getting their prayers answered. Everything's going to rat shit, basically, and everything's descending into chaos. So Jesse then comes up with a plan, and this is then leading us into season 2, which I'll then cover when I get round to finishing it off. But Jesse then decides he's going to search for God, and he has Tulip and Cassidy with him, so they become like a trio, off on their adventures and hunting. And that's kind of where season 1 finishes. Odin, his reason for hating God and religion being the way he is because his entire family got wiped out in a cable car accident. But the way he kind of deals with it is just mad. Like I said, it's dark comedy. There's some stuff here that just, the way he deals with stuff, blood and guts and gore. I don't want to spoil it because I don't want just to ruin, I don't want to ruin some of the best scenes. Because if you have a dark sense of humor and you really like off the cuff comedy and that kind of stuff, you're going to enjoy this. Just bear in mind, it's a slow burner for the first 4 episodes, but there is a payoff. It's just not in the rush to get anywhere, which actually is all right. You don't need to have. I'm trying to think of an old. I don't think I watched the 100 like years ago. That was headache inducing because they tried to have drama every minute of every second, and you just watch an episode and you just come back with a headache, or some of that mind drivel stuff that just they run out of plot within like 2 episodes and don't know what to do. So this one's actually, if you don't mind the slow burner to start, it's actually nicely paced because it's not trying to change the world. You know what I mean? It's just a bit of fun. It's based on the comic. I'd be interested to pick the comic up actually and see what the theme is. But like Spawn comics, they're almost like mini stories and adventures. So some of them might be hard to translate into a serialized TV show, but definitely interesting to see where this goes. I've enjoyed it. Not something that I'm like, whoa, best thing ever, but fun TV, essentially. And I'm interested to see where the next one goes. My only concern is, like I said, that I don't know if it's going to run out of steam quickly or not. That's my only concern. I can kind of see where season 2 is going, and season 1 set it up. So they've got an antagonist already built in. It's not the same guy, so it's not like everything could round the circle. That was my problem with The Boys. I was watching it, and it just seems to go around the circle and not go anywhere. So that's going to get very boring very quick. So we'll see where this goes. After season 2, I think I'll have a better read on the longevity. I don't know if this was cancelled or not. I just know there's 4 seasons on Amazon. I think that takes us up to 2019, so I'm guessing there's nothing else happening. But you never know. It's TV at the end of the day, and streaming service, you don't know what the try and pull out of the hat. Look at flipping Dexter and all, to pull that out 10 years later. But there you go. That's my review. Short and sweet. Hopefully spoiler free, but gives you enough of the enticement. At least check it out for yourself. Do us a favor. Leave if you do watch it. If you've already seen it, let us know what your thoughts are. If you do watch it, then come back to this video, drop us a wee comment, and let us know what you thought. So that's it. Tomorrow, Cameron and I are on talking about Poltergeist. So check out our YouTube channel, stream scheduled, jump on board, so you won't just have to listen to me. You have big, beautiful Cameron as well, making sense of my ramblings, because he's the sensible one. He's the one that actually knows stuff. I just talk shit. But yeah, we're streaming again tomorrow, so jump in for that. And until next time, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.